Hey, it's Mr. Zombie, Jack-o'-lantern. Tonight's story isn't about monsters, but about a road. A road that didn't end where it should have. A taxi driver picks up one last passenger on Halloween night. A man dressed in black, quiet, polite, and asks to be taken to a place that no longer exists. This is the Halloween route. Turn off the lights, and don't drive alone tonight. The Halloween route. Halloween night was always the same. Drunk students, plastic pumpkins, cheap costumes. I'd been driving my cab for 8 hours straight, ready to clock out. The city was quieting down, streets empty except for the fog that rolled in from the river. My shift was over at 2 a.m. At 1:43, the dispatch pinged me. One last ride. Pickup, Maine and Redwood. Drop off, Old Creek Road, House 46. I didn't remember any Old Creek Road. But $100 was $100. When I pulled up, the street was silent. The fog was thick enough to swallow the headlights. A single figure stood under a flickering street lamp, tall, thin, wearing a long dark coat and a wide-brimmed hat. He wasn't in costume. He looked old-fashioned, like something out of an old photograph. He opened the back door without a word and sat down. No smell of alcohol, no sound. Just a faint, dry scent, like dust and burnt leaves. "You heading to Old Creek Road?" I asked. He nodded once. His voice was low, almost like a whisper that didn't move the air. "Yes. 46. I started the car. GPS couldn't find the address. The map just showed a gray patch where the road should have been. "You mind if I just follow the main?" I asked. He didn't answer, just stared out the window. The street lights thinned as we left downtown. Fog thickened. After a while, the only light came from my headlights, and even they looked dimmer than usual. The man hadn't moved an inch. I checked the rearview mirror a few times, but the fog in the back seat made it hard to see his face. He was there, just quiet. No phone, no sound, no breath I could hear. After 20 minutes, we turned onto an old two-lane road lined with bare trees. The GPS had gone black. My radio, too. I glanced in the mirror again. For a moment, I thought the seat behind him was empty. But when I blinked, he was there again, head turned slightly toward me. "Long way out," I said, forcing a laugh. He didn't respond. Then he spoke, almost to himself. "The town used to be brighter." A chill went down my spine. I hadn't said anything about a town. "Excuse me?" I asked. He just kept staring out the window. And through the fog, I saw shapes. Faint outlines of houses, barns, fences. But all collapsed, like the bones of something long dead. The road narrowed. My headlights caught a cracked wooden sign at the edge of the fog. The paint was almost gone, but I could make out the words. Old Creek. I slowed down. Didn't think this place still existed, I said, mostly to myself. The man in the back finally spoke again. "It doesn't." I turned around, my mouth dry. The seat was empty. The door was still locked. The meter kept running. But the back seat was empty, except for a folded piece of paper, resting where he'd been sitting. I picked it up. It was a map, hand-drawn. At the bottom, written in faint, looping script. "Take the road till the lights stop." The paper felt cold, almost damp, though the car was warm. The handwriting was perfect, too neat for something written in the dark. I unfolded the map on the steering wheel. It showed a long, thin road cutting through empty land, ending at a small dot labeled 46. No town name, no landmarks, just one phrase written in the corner. "Only drive when the lights stop." I laughed nervously. Great, just great. The fog pressed tighter around the car, swallowing everything but the beam of my headlights. For a second, I considered turning back. But curiosity, or maybe fear, pushed me forward. The road narrowed again. The asphalt broke into patches of dirt and cracked stone. Branches brushed against the roof. Every few seconds, something tapped the side mirror, too deliberate to be the wind. The headlights started to dim. First the left one flickered, then the right. A deep static hum came through the radio, even though it was turned off. And then the lights died completely. Darkness. Real, suffocating black. My phone screen wouldn't turn on. The dashboard was dead. Only the faint orange glow of the map remained, as if it was lit from within. And outside, I started seeing shapes. Not people, not animals, just figures, standing between the trees, still, watching. I gripped the wheel. "It's just the fog," I whispered. But they didn't move. Their heads turned as I passed, one by one, following the car like a slow wave of motion through the mist. Then the radio crackled again. A voice whispered through the static, my own voice. "Keep driving." The headlights blinked back on. The figures were gone. The road stretched forward again, but now the trees looked different. Thicker, older. The bark blackened and smooth, like burned wood. I followed the map, counting the curves. After the sixth one, I saw it. A faint orange glow ahead, like a lantern. Finally, a sign of life. As I got closer, I realized it wasn't a lantern. It was a street light. Just one, standing in the middle of nowhere, buzzing faintly. Underneath, it was a mailbox. Number faded, but still visible, 46. I parked the car and stepped out. The air was wrong, heavy, but still. No sound of crickets, no wind, no echo of the engine cooling. There was a house beyond the light. 2 stories, roof sagging, windows black. No lights on inside. But something glimmered in one of the upstairs windows, like someone holding a candle. I turned back toward the car. The headlights were off again, but the engine was still running. And through the windshield, in the reflection, I saw a figure sitting in the back seat, wearing a dark coat. I froze. The figure in the back seat didn't move. The same coat, the same shape of the hat. For a second, I thought it was just my reflection. But the headlights were off. There was no light to cast one. My throat went dry. I walked around the car slowly, every step crunching against the gravel. The fog was thicker now, swirling low across the ground like smoke. When I reached the driver's door, I peered inside. The seat was empty again, just like before, except now there was something on the seat that hadn't been there earlier. A single wet footprint facing forward. Bare. I looked back at the house. The upstairs window still glowed faintly orange. Something moved behind the curtain. For reasons I can't explain, I felt like I had to go in. Maybe to prove it was real, maybe just to end it. The porch creaked under my weight. The door wasn't locked. It swung open on the first touch, letting out a smell of dust, damp wood, and something faintly sweet like decaying flowers. Inside, the floor was covered in leaves. A hallway stretched ahead with picture frames on both sides, but the glass was fogged, the faces inside smeared. One of them caught my eye. A black and white photo of a man in a dark coat and wide-brimmed hat. The same one. Only this photo was dated 1958. I whispered to myself, "What the hell is this place?" And from upstairs, a floorboard creaked. Slowly. Then another. And another. Footsteps. Measured. Calm. Coming closer to the stairs. I stepped back, reaching for my phone. Dead again. The car's headlights blinked once through the doorway, casting long shadows across the hall. Something passed by the top of the stairs, a dark outline, thin and slow. I held my breath. The footsteps stopped. Then a voice came. Not loud, but close, as if someone was standing right behind me. "You took the wrong road." I spun around. Empty. Only the sound of my heartbeat and the faint buzz of that single streetlight outside. I ran back to the car, jumped in, locked the doors. The map lay open on the passenger seat again, but it wasn't the same. Now the line didn't end at 46. It kept going. A second that had appeared deeper into the woods, labeled only with 2 words. Turn around. I gripped the steering wheel. Fog pressed against the windshield like it was alive. Something moved in it, long, dragging, scraping against the glass. The radio hissed once, then cleared. A calm voice spoke through the static. My voice. "Keep driving. You're not done yet." I froze. The figure in the back seat didn't move. The same coat. The same shape of the hat. For a second, I thought it was just my reflection. But the headlights were off. There was no light to cast one. My throat went dry. I walked around the car slowly, every step crunching against the gravel. The fog was thicker now, swirling low across the ground like smoke. When I reached the driver's door, I peered inside. The seat was empty again, just like before, except now there was something on the seat that hadn't been there earlier. A single wet footprint facing forward. Bare. I looked back at the house. The upstairs window still glowed faintly orange. Something moved behind the curtain. For reasons I can't explain, I felt like I had to go in. Maybe to prove it was real, maybe just to end it. The porch creaked under my weight. The door wasn't locked. It swung open on the first touch, letting out a smell of dust, damp wood, and something faintly sweet like decaying flowers. Inside, the floor was covered in leaves. A hallway stretched ahead with picture frames on both sides, but the glass was fogged, the faces inside smeared. One of them caught my eye. A black and white photo of a man in a dark coat and wide-brimmed hat. The same one. Only this photo was dated 1958. I whispered to myself, "What the hell is this place?" And from upstairs, a floorboard creaked. Slowly. Then another. And another. Footsteps. Measured. Calm. Coming closer to the stairs. I stepped back, reaching for my phone. Dead again. The car's headlights blinked once through the doorway, casting long shadows across the hall. Something passed by the top of the stairs, a dark outline, thin and slow. I held my breath. The footsteps stopped. Then a voice came. Not loud, but close, as if someone was standing right behind me. "You took the wrong road." I spun around. Empty. Only the sound of my heartbeat and the faint buzz of that single streetlight outside. I ran back to the car, jumped in, locked the doors. The map lay open on the passenger seat again, but it wasn't the same. Now the line didn't end at 46. It kept going. A second that had appeared deeper into the woods, labeled only with 2 words. Turn around. I gripped the steering wheel. Fog pressed against the windshield like it was alive. Something moved in it, long, dragging, scraping against the glass. The radio hissed once, then cleared. A calm voice spoke through the static. My voice. "Keep driving. You're not done yet." I stared at the words on the paper until they stopped meaning anything. Turn around. The engine idled rough, like it wanted to stall. The single streetlight buzzed over the mailbox, 46, and somewhere upstairs a curtain moved without wind. I folded the map with shaking fingers and dropped it on the passenger seat. It slid back open by itself, the inked line stretching farther into the trees. "Fine," I said to no one. "We're done." I put the car in reverse. The headlights didn't come back. The dash stayed dead. Only the dome of that one street light gave me enough glow to see the gravel. As the tires rolled, the radio hissed, and a voice that sounded exactly like mine said, calm, patient. "Only drive when the lights stop." The street light flickered. For a second it died. Pure black, a mouth of night. And in that second the car drifted back smooth as water. When the light blinked on again, I was farther down the drive than I should have been. The mailbox was gone. The house too. Just trees crowding in, their trunks glossy, as if they'd been burned and polished. I eased onto the narrow road. The map lay open, the little hand-drawn line now behind me. In the rear view, the fog bunched like cloth. Something tall moved inside it, perfectly still in motion. I didn't look directly. I didn't want to give it a face. The road curved left, then right. It felt longer now, like it had grown in the time I'd been parked. After a few minutes I saw another light ahead. Thank God. Orange, humming. I pressed the brake. It wasn't a town lamp. It was a school crossing light, the rectangle kind with 2 tiny bulbs. Out here, in the trees. Beneath it, a faded painted stop across cracked asphalt that hadn't seen paint in decades. A rusted sign leaned at an angle. I rolled forward to read it. Old Creek, slow children. My gut went cold. I don't know why. I eased the cab through. The crossing light buzzed louder as I passed, like it was breathing through bad lungs. In the mirror it blinked twice and died. The radio cracked again. "Keep driving." "I am," I said, because arguing felt safer than silence. Then the road dipped and I saw water. The river. Black, no surface, just absence. The bridge ahead was a rib cage, half collapsed, steel bones sticking out into the dark. A barrier of rotten sawhorses blocked the way, white stripes gone brown. Someone had tied a strand of caution taped to one. It fluttered without wind. I stopped. There was nowhere else to go. The map rustled. I didn't touch it. The paper turned itself and showed me a new drawing. The curve I'd just taken, a rectangle for the river, and a dot right at the edge labeled in thin, looping script. Turn around. I swallowed. The mirror showed nothing but fog and a smear of my own face. I put my hand on the shifter. Something wet touched my knuckles. I jerked back. The air smelled like damp leaves and ashes. From the back seat came a soft exhale, the sound people make when they finally sit down. "Sir," I said, not turning. "Where do you need to go?" For a moment, the car was only the engine and the river. Then the voice, dry, polite, from a throat that hadn't used words in a long time. "Home. Old Creek." My mouth was chalk. "House 46. A pause. The seat creaked as if someone leaned forward, hat tipping into the space between the front seats. I still didn't turn. "It isn't there anymore." I gripped the wheel. "So why call a cab?" The radio whispered, my voice and not my voice layered together. "So someone remembers the route." I put the car in drive and eased the wheel, ready to U-turn. The tires rolled. The headlights were nothing. The river was a wall of night. I kept my eyes on the line where the road ended, on the broken bridge ribs, on the place where men with plans had once believed a crossing would be strong forever. Behind me, the seatbelt ratcheted slowly. Click, click. The meter, dead all night, lit up for a second and printed a receipt by itself. The paper spat into the tray. I didn't look at it. "Sir," I said, trying to keep my voice level, "keep your hands inside the car, all right? We're turning around." The word hung there. Turning around. I realized suddenly the map might not mean the car. Maybe it meant me. Don't look back. Don't give it your face. I kept my eyes forward and eased the wheel. The cab swung in a wide arc. Gravel crackled beneath tires. The fog pressed close. For a heartbeat, I felt breath against my ear, cool, dry, like the inside of an old closet. "Thank you," the voice said, as if this were normal. As if all rides ended at the river where there was no bridge. It was brighter then. We straightened out. The road back was a tunnel of black. No lamps. No signs. No school crossing that shouldn't be there. I kept to the center, slow, steady, hands light on the wheel. The radio stayed quiet. The receipt machine clicked once more and went still. After a while, the kind of while that doesn't fit inside minutes, I saw a light ahead. White, not orange. A regular street lamp at the edge of town. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. "Dispatch," I said, tapping the mic just to hear something alive. "Maple 12 returning. Passenger drop." Static answered, and then a burst of my own voice from earlier. "One last ride." I pulled into the first gas station I found and parked by the pumps. Warm, fluorescent light. A boy inside sweeping the floor. A woman paying for cigarettes. The kind of normal that feels like a lie until your hand stops shaking. I turned, finally, to the back seat. Empty. On the vinyl. The folded map, dry now, the ink faded like it had been left in the sun for years. I opened it with both hands. The line was gone. In its place, one sentence in that careful script. "Only drive when the lights stop." I looked down at the receipt the printer had spit out in the dark. The numbers were wrong. The date read October 31st, 1958. The fare line was blank. The address line said Old Creek RD, 46. I went inside and asked the cashier, voice too loud in the humming light, "You ever hear of Old Creek?" The kid blinked. The woman at the counter looked at me out of the side of her eyes and lit a cigarette she wasn't supposed to light indoors. "Flood took that part of the county," she said. "Back when they dammed the river. Whole street went under. Halloween week. Year 58, I think." Her lighter clicked shut. "Why?" "No reason," I said, and found I was holding the map behind my back like a child. When I got home, the sun was leaking into the sky. I slept badly and dreamed about a single streetlight in the middle of nowhere. buzzing over a rusted mailbox. In the afternoon, I checked the car for wet footprints. The vinyl had dried. The smell of leaves and ash lingered anyway. I told myself I'd refuse the next late ping. I told myself I'd go off the app before 1:30. I told myself a lot of things. At 1:43 a.m., the dispatch pinged. One last ride. Pickup, Maine and Redwood. Drop off. The destination box was empty. The screen glitched once, like breath fogging glass, and a new line appeared where the address should be. Take the road till the light stop. I stared until my eyes watered. Then I did what I always do when the city goes quiet and the fog rolls in from the river. I said yes.